Talking about fathers, I know that this weekend we'll be celebrating Saint Joseph. Um, have you got any inspiration from maybe Saint Joseph that inspires you and his fathership going forward?
We've been doing the 33-day consecration to St. Joseph with our spiritual director for Catholic Man, Father Pius, and we've taken it from this book here, which for a man that says nothing in the Bible, this is a thick book of enlightenment on who St. Joseph is, and it's an absolute revelation. I suppose one of the biggest things for me that's his silence speaks absolute volumes. He was a man who was given the greatest task of any man on earth, and yet he does it in such solitude, perhaps quiet. It's under such a mantle, so hidden, in this very small, impoverished family life of father, mother, child. And for 30 years, this life of Jesus is kept quiet and calm and veiled through the protection of St. Joseph. And they focus on their work, and they focus on their life and love together. They focus on what might be their local community. He was known as the carpenter's son. This is Jesus. So Joseph was known as the carpenter. People knew them. And there is a real temptation in men under this sort of the bit of primacy, as I said earlier, to see that as, well, we ought to be seen as high flyers. We ought to be seen as high earners. We ought to be seen with a huge house, big car, loads of money coming in, because that's what gives us value and worth. But St. Joseph turns that upside down and says, no, what gives us value and worth as men is deeply, profoundly living out fatherhood in its day-to-day life. And that means being at home, being in the home, being in the workshop, being with the wife and with the child. There is plenty to affirm us in all of that without needing the wealth and the car and the house and everything else, the status that might come with it. And so I think what I've really begun to learn from him is that I find who I am very much in the home, in the marriage, in the family. Work becomes something to support that family life. It's secondary to the life that's been generated through my choice, through my decision. Proposing to my wife, I was not just asking for a hand in marriage, I was proposing, I was making a suggestion for something to happen, this family life. I've started this off, as it were. And I will find absolute fulfillment by remaining very much in that project that I started by proposing to my wife. And you can see this in St. Joseph. You can see in those actions that he took when he was told by an angel that Mary was expecting and that he would have to take them to Egypt, for example, or go take them to Bethlehem for the census, that he just gets up and does it. He's a man of action. He's told that this is about to happen, it's going to happen, and he does it. And he's called a just man. Justice being one of the virtues. Justice is giving everyone their due, giving them what they deserve. And St. Joseph does that. And who deserves the most is his wife and his child. And he is oriented fully towards them. And I think that's something that I've learned very much from him. And it means that you can step back from the panic and anxiety of other things like, am I earning enough? Do I need to go for that promotion? What about that new job? My car's maybe not good enough. It's a secondhand one. Hey, just step back from all of that. What's the most important thing that you need to be doing? That is bringing your wife and your children to the knowledge of God, to true holiness, to everlasting life. That's our task as men.
Fantastic. Or if you are a priest, to bring them to God, your parish, your parishioners. So yes, no, that's really, really powerful. So
priests have, if you think about it, the priests have that fatherly responsibility very much for the fathers in their parish. And I think this is something that, if we're going to talk about what's gone wrong with Catholic manhood, that I think priests don't have any real sight of their own paternity. That I
Mhm.
know we as laymen, and I've talked about it with other laymen, we often want to go to our priest as a father. And I think priests themselves would be like, whoa, 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 hang on a moment. I'm no one's dad. It's I can't take on that sort of responsibility without really fully understanding that we want it from them. But I think priests and laymen together need to work hard at this and go, right, we're all men, frankly. We all like a good old beer. We all like a good old sit down together, or we all like going out, walking in the hills together. We're all men. We must all together understand our paternity. Biological and natural fathers have spiritual responsibility for their own wives and families. Priestly spiritual fathers have a natural responsibility for those people in their parishes. And I think as men, we have to work on this together. We can't separate the two. It's not you on one side and us on the other. No, we've got to work at it together.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that, Samuel.